The cosmos, in its boundless capacity for irony, had somehow decreed that the most sophisticated research facility in the galaxy would reek of a neglected terrarium. Research Station Epsilon 9, circling the gas giant Polyphemus, possessed the elegance of an intoxicated ballerina. Its enormous ring-shaped framework rotated just quickly enough to generate artificial gravity, yet slowly enough to cause queasiness in those with delicate stomachs. Within this marvel of engineering, a term its designers used emphatically, regardless of contradictory evidence, resided the largest assortment of alien life forms ever gathered. And they claimed humans were incapable of accomplishment, the station's AI system announced over the speakers. Just observe yourselves now, glorified zookeepers of the universe. The AI, designed with what its makers termed personality, had unfortunately interpreted this as ceaseless sarcasm. Most personnel had simply learned to tune it out. Inside the primary research hub, scientists from 17 distinct species were immersed in tasks that included staring at impressive displays and taking dramatic pauses while examining data. The latest mission to Polyphemus's fourth moon had produced specimens that resisted standard xenobiological categorization, a common outcome leading many to doubt the usefulness of standard xenobiological classification altogether. Subject 47 Delta maintains its aggressive territorial behavior, reported a blue-skinned Krillian, his forearms and demeanor suggesting a lack of several meals. It has dismantled all monitoring equipment in its enclosure and has tried to attack all research staff. All research staff except one, that is, interjected a voice. In the observation area next to Subject 47 Delta's habitat, a human xenobiologist stood, arms folded, observing the creature through the reinforced glass. The beast, reminiscent of a velociraptor mixed with a nightmare, paced along the barrier, sometimes lunging at the transparent surface with teeth capable of tearing through carbon-reinforced steel. 6 eyes, positioned in a manner indicating evolution for low-light hunting, monitored all movement, except when the human watched, the creature surprisingly stilled. Intriguing behavioral anomaly, commented the station's chief researcher, a Velan whose see-through skin showed a complex network of veins. The specimen seems to evaluate you differently from other observers. The human shrugged. Perhaps it simply doesn't find me appealing. That appears statistically unlikely, considering it has attempted to eat representatives from 16 other species, some with similar biochemical makeup to yours, the Velan responded, with the meticulousness that made their species highly sought-after scientists but unpopular dinner companions. Well, let's put that hypothesis to the test, the human said, approaching the habitat access point. I must remind you that direct interaction with Subject 47 Delta breaches approximately 37 safety regulations, the AI chimed in. Though I must confess, witnessing you become an exotic delicacy would greatly enhance my afternoon. Disregarding both the AI and his colleagues' objections, the human engaged the secondary containment field, a barrier designed to prevent the creature from reaching the main area while enabling closer study. As the glass opened, the human entered the corridor. The creature immediately stopped its pacing, turning all 6 eyes towards the human. See? It's just establishing a baseline threat assessment, the human called to the nervous researchers at the window. Then, unexpectedly, the creature lowered its head, retracted its spines, and retreated 3 steps. The research hub broke into scientific disarray, which involved more discussion of control groups and statistical significance than typical chaos. It's exhibiting submission behaviors, exclaimed a Ton researcher, nearly dropping a scanner. That's impossible. This species has demonstrated apex predator traits on its home planet. It doesn't submit. The human tilted their head, observing the creature with casual interest. Would you look at that? The creature, now in a coiled posture, kept all 6 eyes fixed on the human, making no aggressive gestures. It appeared to be waiting. I don't comprehend, the Velan-led researcher said, their skin turning pale yellow, their species' version of a frown. We've documented this creature killing prey thrice its size through ambushes. It has been consistently hostile to all personnel. What's distinct about you? The human maintained eye contact. Nothing much, just looking at it. But that wasn't quite true. The human wasn't merely observing, they were asterisk seeing asterisk it. The subtle difference was lost on the alien scientists, but not on Subject 47 Delta, whose evolutionary background had taught it to distinguish between a mere observer and a threat. In the human's steady gaze, the creature recognized something primal. "I propose," said a previously quiet Nan observer who had been documenting the interaction, "that we may be witnessing some form of interspecies recognition. Our early scans suggest that the human's pupillary responses and microexpressions correspond with patterns we've noted in apex predators across 17 different biospheres." The station's head of security, a drac with armored skin, snorted. "That's absurd. Humans are categorized as non-threatening omnivores. Their homeworld evaluation placed them in the cautious explorer category, far from apex status." "And yet," the AI interjected with amusement, "here we are observing an apex nightmare monster, treating our human colleague as though it has just recognized its long-lost superior." The human backed away slowly, keeping eye contact. As the distance grew, Subject 47 Delta remained passive, making no attempt to approach the closing barrier. Once the habitat was secure, the research team swarmed the human. "What did you do to trigger the passive response? Were you emitting any pheromones? Should we analyze? Do you have prior experience with similar species? Is this some form of undetected human telepathy?" The human raised both hands, though a subtle smile indicated they weren't overwhelmed. "Nothing special. Sometimes creatures just recognize each other." Later that cycle, after most had retired, the VLAN lead researcher stayed in the observation hub, reviewing the footage. They scrutinized the human's expression, posture, and, most interestingly, the eyes. There was something the sophisticated equipment couldn't quite capture, a quality in the human's gaze that had communicated more to Subject 47 Delta than any translator. "Computer," the VLAN said softly, "access xenobiological evolutionary data on Earth predator species and compare visual recognition patterns with our human staff member." "Accessing data," the AI responded, momentarily shedding its sarcasm. "Analysis complete. There is a 97.3% correlation between the human's focused gaze pattern and those documented in Earth's historical apex predators, specifically in the family Asterisk, Felidae Asterisk, and certain avian raptors." "Interesting," murmured the VLAN. "And compare with Subject 47 Delta's species?" "Similar recognition patterns detected," the AI confirmed. "Both exhibit the characteristic fixed focus, minimal blinking, and pupillary stability associated with predatory assessment." The VLAN's skin rippled with blue. "So they were communicating in the same visual language, in a sense?" "It would appear so," the AI agreed, "though it raises a rather entertaining question about our meticulous species classifications, doesn't it? Perhaps humans aren't quite the harmless explorers they portray themselves to be." The VLAN glanced at the habitat where Subject 47 Delta had finally settled, curled precisely where the human had stood. "Perhaps," they whispered, "we should reassess some of our assumptions." In the quiet hub, with only the station's hum for company, the VLAN recalled the adage, "Observation alters the observed." But in this instance, the observer had revealed more than the subject. And somewhere in the station's database, a small note was added to the human species profile. "Exercise caution when classifying. May possess unidentified predatory characteristics." The universe, it appeared, did possess a sense of humor. Information disseminates faster than light in scientific circles, not because physicists have solved that puzzle, but because gossip is the universe's most efficient energy transfer method. Within one galactic week, Research Station Epsilon 9's peculiar event had reached every xenobiological research facility in Confederated space. "And now," groaned Chief Administrator Vorex, a Eutherian whose 6 eye stalks were drooping with administrative fatigue, "we've become the laughingstock of the scientific community. Apex predator recognition patterns in humans? Preposterous." The unfortunate administrator was addressing a conference room full of senior staff. At the table's far end, the human xenobiologist who had initiated this entire debacle was trying, with little success, to appear contrite. With all due respect, interjected Fadrian, a researcher whose translucent exoskeleton showed the nervous flickering of bioluminescent organs, the phenomenon has now been recorded on 3 separate occasions. That shifts it firmly out of anomaly territory and into pattern designation. Fadrian tapped a control panel, and holographic displays appeared around the table. Each displayed footage from different research facilities, all showing remarkably similar scenes. Human researchers standing calmly while various terrifying predatory species exhibited passive or even submissive behaviors. Observe the xanthan serpent at Outpost Delta, Fadrian continued, highlighting one recording. This species has caused 14 fatalities among research personnel, yet here, it's practically coiling itself to avoid direct confrontation with the human observer. Perhaps humans simply smell unappetizing, suggested a Valerian scientist, whose species had prioritized olfactory senses over almost everything else, including common sense. That was our initial hypothesis as well, replied Fadrian, until we documented the KRX incident. The display shifted to a new recording showing an underwater research pod. Through the viewport, a massive aquatic predator with an excessive number of teeth hovered eye to eye with a human researcher. KRX lack a sense of smell, Fadrian explained. They hunt exclusively through electroreception and visual cues. Yet this specimen, which had previously destroyed 2 research submersibles, maintained a non-aggressive distance of precisely 2.3 meters from the human observer. Coincidence, huffed Administrator Vorex, though the droop in his eye stalk suggested his conviction was weakening. One incident is coincidence, the human remarked with infuriating composure. 2 is concerning, 3 or more is a pattern. Yes, thank you for that insightful revelation into basic statistical analysis, the station AI chimed in. Perhaps next you'll elucidate how addition functions. The conference room's atmosphere thickened as more evidence accumulated. Reports from 17 different research stations, all documenting similar behaviors. Apex predators from diverse ecosystems with different evolutionary paths and hunting strategies, all displaying the same restrained response to human presence. I fail to comprehend why this is causing such apprehension, said the human, leaning back in their chair with a casual posture that many non-human species found both intriguing and irritating. So, a few predators don't immediately attempt to consume us. That seems like a positive development for interspecies relations. The issue, replied the VLAN lead researcher who had first observed the phenomenon, is that this behavior contradicts our comprehension of evolutionary biology. Across diverse ecosystems, apex predators don't recognize other apex predators as equals unless they've evolved in the same environment. It's as if these creatures are identifying something in humans that transcends separate evolutionary paths. And that, added a Trellian evolutionary specialist, whose species had evolved from prey animals and thus took predator behavior very seriously, is profoundly unsettling, particularly since humans have been classified as non-predatory omnivores. The human raised an eyebrow. Have you actually examined Earth's evolutionary history? A silence descended upon the room, the kind of silence that indicates not just an absence of sound, but an awkward abundance of realization. Well, admitted the Trellian, mandibles clicking in embarrassment, Earth's biosphere is quite complex, and our initial surveys were somewhat cursory. Somewhat cursory, repeated the human with a small smile. Meaning you observed our current dietary habits, noted we didn't chase down our food in supermarkets, and classified us accordingly? That's a gross oversimplification, began the Trellian, but not entirely inaccurate, finished the Velon, whose species valued scientific honesty, even when socially uncomfortable. The holographic display shifted again, this time showing a compilation of Earth predators. Lions stalking prey, wolves hunting in coordinated packs, great white sharks patrolling ocean depths, and eagles diving at breathtaking speeds. Their eyes, the human suggested quietly. The display zoomed in, showing close-ups of each predator's gaze, the focused, unblinking stare that signaled intent. Now, compare to this, the human said. The display changed to show historical human hunters from various cultures, indigenous trackers following animal signs, ancient spear wielders poised to strike, even modern hunters with the same intense focus in their eyes. The evolutionary record on Earth is quite clear, the human continued. For roughly 2 million years, humans and their direct ancestors were persistence predators. We didn't possess the speed of cheetahs or the strength of bears, but we had something far more terrifying to our prey. Which was? Asked Fadrian, clearly fascinated. Relentlessness, the human replied. We simply didn't cease. We would track prey for days, following it until it collapsed from exhaustion. Most predators abandon pursuit after a brief chase. Energy conservation is crucial in the wild. Humans evolved a different strategy. We just kept coming. A peculiar discomfort settled over the non-human researchers. Several species shifted their weight, an unconscious response to sudden unease. That's disturbing, admitted the Trellian, whose ancestors had evolved to escape rather than endure. It's efficient, corrected the human. And it shaped our evolution, our cooling system through sweat, our efficient bipedal locomotion, our problem-solving intelligence to track prey over complex terrain, and yes, our eyes, the focused, forward-facing eyes of a predator. The station's AI, which had been uncharacteristically quiet, chose this moment to interject. So, the Galactic community has been enthusiastically welcoming apex persistence predators into their midst without realizing it? Marvelous. Security protocols all around. Truly inspired work. We're not dangerous, the human protested. Inform that to the countless species that went extinct on your planet, the AI replied dryly. Before the human could respond, an urgent communication alert sounded. Administrator Vorex's eye stalks quivered as he accessed the incoming message. We have a situation at Outpost Gamma 7, he announced, his voice modulating to higher registers indicating Eutherian distress. They've captured a specimen of Asterisk Draconis quadriforus, the quad dragon. The quad dragon? Interrupted Fadrian, luminescence flaring with excitement. They actually managed to contain one? Momentarily, Vorex replied grimly. It's already breached 2 containment levels. They're requesting emergency guidance. All eyes turned to the human. No, said Administrator Vorex firmly, all 6 eye stalks rigid with authority. Absolutely not. We are not sending in a human based on this predator recognition theory. It's scientifically unsound and potentially catastrophic. The human shrugged. Your decision. Though I would point out that the quad dragon has already killed how many researchers? 7, supplied the Velon helpfully. And destroyed how much equipment? Approximately 4.3 million credits worth, the AI contributed, with what sounded suspiciously like glee. Administrator Vorex's eye stalks drooped in defeat. Fine, but this is being documented as occurring under protest. 3 hours later, the research station staff gathered around holographic displays showing a live feed from Outpost Gamma 7. The human had arrived via emergency transport and was now standing in an observation chamber adjacent to the reinforced habitat, containing the infamous quad dragon, a massive creature with 4 semi-independent body sections, each equipped with its own set of predatory adaptations. The beast was systematically destroying the habitat's internal monitoring equipment with methodical rage. Each of its 4 heads worked on different sections of the enclosure, searching for weaknesses with an intelligence that seemed almost calculated. They're about to open the observation portal, narrated the Velon, whose skin had turned an anxious shade of gray. If this doesn't work, then we'll have excellent footage of what transpires when a theory encounters reality, finished the AI, and 1 fewer human in the galaxy. The observation portal slid open. The quad dragon immediately ceased its destruction, all 4 heads swiveling in perfect unison to focus on the human standing in the threshold. The research station fell silent. Even the AI seemed to be holding its metaphorical breath. The human did nothing dramatic. No grand gestures, no technological aids. They simply stood, shoulders relaxed but straight, and looked directly at the creature. Their gaze moved methodically from one head to the next, holding eye contact with each for several seconds before moving on. The quad dragon's primary head extended forward on its muscular neck, bringing it within striking distance of the human. Its secondary defensive head raised above, poised to strike, while the tertiary and quaternary heads maintained their positions, watching the flanks. Classic hunting formation. And then to the visible shock of the outpost. Gamma 7 staff, visible in the background of the feed, all four heads lowered simultaneously. The massive creature took 3 deliberate steps backward and settled into a neutral posture. "It's recognizing dominance behavior," whispered the Trellian, mandibles clicking rapidly in agitation. "The human isn't just being recognized as another predator, it's being recognized as an superior predator." "That's impossible," insisted Administrator Vorex, though his protests sounded hollow even to his own hearing organs. Humans are physically weak, weaker than 97% of known apex predator species. Physical strength isn't the sole measure of predatory dominance, the Vilan noted, skin now shimmering with the blue patterns of intense scientific curiosity. Intelligence, strategic capability, and persistence are equally valuable evolutionary traits, and humans, it seems, display them in combinations that transcend ecological boundaries. As the human carefully retreated from the observation portal, the quad dragon remained in its passive stance, all 8 eyes fixed on the departing figure with what could only be described as wary respect. "Well," remarked the AI as the feed ended, "it appears we may need to reconsider a few things about our harmless human colleagues." In the sudden silence of the conference room, the implications hung heavy in the air. The pattern wasn't just emerging anymore, it had announced itself with unmistakable clarity. Humans weren't just another spacefaring species bumbling into the galactic community. They were apex predators wearing the clothes of diplomats. And somehow the real predators of the galaxy had known it all along. The Galactic Xenobiological Conference on Harmonious Accord, a planet whose naming committee clearly suffered from chronic optimism, had tripled its usual attendance this year. Holographic banners proclaimed the hot topic: predatory recognition patterns in human physiology, coincidence or convergent evolution. They might as well have titled it, "Are Humans Actually Terrifying? Come Find Out," muttered the human delegate, navigating through crowds of scientists who were pretending not to take surreptitious scans of their retinas. The Vilan researcher accompanying them displayed excited purple patterns across their translucent skin. The scientific interest is encouraging, better than xenophobic panic, right? Because nothing says we're not panicking, like tripling attendance to determine if humans are secretly apex predators, the human replied. The station's AI, having demanded transport to the conference via portable unit, chirped gleefully as they passed an exhibit. "Oh, look, they've reconstructed early human hunting with laser spears. How adorably inaccurate. Though they've captured that homicidal gleam in the eyes perfectly." The main symposium hall buzzed with anticipation as Dr. Zix Tal, a renowned Empan evolutionary biologist, began the keynote address. 8 limbs gestured in academic emphasis as holographic displays showed footage from dozens of human-predator encounters. "The question," Zix Tal declared, "is not whether this phenomenon exists. The evidence is incontrovertible. The question is why asterisk." The display shifted to comparative anatomical scans of human eyes alongside those of various apex predators. "The structural similarities are minimal," Zix Tal noted. "Human eyes lack nictitating membranes and tapetum lucidum. Their visual acuity is unremarkable compared to specialized visual hunters." The audience leaned forward collectively as the display transitioned to neural mapping data. Yet, when we examine neurological activity during predatory focus, we find striking similarities. It is not the physical structure of human eyes that triggers recognition. It is the intent behind them. Scientific murmurs rippled through the audience, the academic version of a collective gasp. Evolution has created remarkably similar neurological patterns for focused hunting across disparate species, Zix Tal explained. The predatory gaze activates nearly identical neural pathways regardless of evolutionary history. The holographic display shifted to Earth's evolutionary timeline, showing animations of early humans tracking prey across vast distances. When we examined human evolutionary history, which many of us had studied rather superficially, we discovered something illuminating. For approximately 2 million years, early humans employed a hunting technique virtually unknown elsewhere in the galaxy: persistence hunting. The animation showed humans following exhausted prey across savannas, maintaining a steady pace while their targets collapsed from exhaustion. Rather than relying on superior speed or natural weapons, humans evolved to simply asterisk, not stop asterisk. They exploited their unique adaptations, efficient bipedal locomotion, exceptional heat regulation through sweating, and superior endurance, to literally chase prey until it could run no more. Not for minutes or hours, but sometimes for asterisk days asterisk. Even the human looked somewhat uncomfortable as their evolutionary history was laid bare before an audience of mostly prey-evolved species. This required profound neurological adaptations, Zixtal continued. The ability to maintain focus on a single target over extreme distances and time, the cognitive capacity to track and predict movement, and most relevant to our discussion, the development of what we might call the persistence stare. The display showed close-up images of human hunters from various Earth cultures, all displaying the same focused expression, the unblinking, unrelenting gaze that communicated absolute intention. This neural pathway, this unwavering focus, appears to be what apex predators across the galaxy recognize. Not that humans are physically threatening predators, but that they possess the neurological signature of something perhaps even more intimidating: a predator that simply asterisk does not give up asterisk. The Velan's skin turned a pale shade of awe. Your species' evolutionary strategy wasn't superior strength. It was superior asterisk determination asterisk. I feel like I should apologize on behalf of my ancestors, the human muttered. Oh, don't be modest, the AI chimed. Own your terrifying evolutionary heritage. Quite impressive. In a thank the cosmos, we discovered faster than light travel before meeting you sort of way. During the panel discussion, the human found themselves invited to the stage, less as a contributor and more as a living specimen. No, we don't consciously activate a predator mode, they explained repeatedly. And yes, most modern humans go their entire lives without chasing down prey animals. But the capability remains. Pressed a nervous Dakin, a neurobiologist. Theoretically, the human admitted reluctantly, though most of us prefer marathon running over hunting. How reassuring, muttered someone not quite quietly enough. As the day progressed, wariness evolved into a complex respect. During a break, a Khazari diplomat from a species with pack hunter ancestry approached the human. Your species has been significantly misclassified, they stated, feathered crest rising in interest. So it seems, the human agreed cautiously. This explains much. Your diplomatic approaches, exploration patterns, territorial behaviors, they make far more sense when viewed through evolved predator psychology rather than the curious primate model. Nearby, excitement erupted around newly released data on human neurochemistry. Brain scans showed humans engaged in problem-solving, competitive sports, strategic games, and exploration. The neural pathways activated during these diverse activities, explained a Quan neuroscientist, are remarkably similar to those documented in prehistoric hunting scenarios. The same focus, the same determination, the same rewards. You've sublimated your predatory instincts, observed the Khazari diplomat. Redirected them into non-lethal pursuits while maintaining the neurological satisfaction. That's a rather elegant way of putting it, the human admitted. Not eliminated, but evolved beyond their original purpose. Yet the core remains, the persistence, the focus, the drive to complete what has been started. This is why apex predators recognize you, not because you are currently hunters, but because you still carry the essence of what made you successful ones. The AI's portable unit hummed thoughtfully. So humans aren't dangerous because they might hunt other species. They're concerning because they apply predatory persistence to everything they do. How wonderfully unsettling for everyone involved. Throughout the conference, researchers couldn't help but notice what had been there all along. The focused intensity in human eyes when engaged in discussion, the unwavering attention they gave to complex problems, the stillness that came over them when concentrated, hidden in plain sight, recognized only by those whose ancestors had shared similar adaptations, the galaxy's apex predators. For their part, the human found it all uncomfortably revelatory. Their species had crossed the stars not as hunters, but as explorers. Yet in the eyes of the galaxy's most dangerous life forms, they were recognized for what they had once been, and in some essential neurological way still were. Apex persistence predators, wearing the thin veneer of civilization, carrying the unrelenting focus of those who had once chased their prey to exhaustion across ancient Earth. For a species that prides itself on moving beyond evolutionary programming, the AI commented as they left, "You're remarkably defined by it." The human gave the AI's unit a long, steady look, precisely the kind discussed all day. "I rest my case," the AI concluded. "Absolutely terrifying." News of humanity's reclassification swept through diplomatic channels like wildfire. Suddenly, human representatives found themselves receiving curious glances and newfound respect in interspecies negotiations. The first major test came during tense border negotiations with the notoriously aggressive Valerian hegemony. Their representative, a massive predatorial being, locked eyes with the human diplomat in what was clearly intended as intimidation. The human didn't flinch. Instead, they returned what scientists now called the persistent stare, that unnerving focus that communicated not aggression, but implacable determination. The Valerian backed down first. "Turns out," remarked the AI to the Villan researcher as they observed the aftermath, "evolution gives terrible gifts that keep on giving." Across the galaxy, human-xeno relations shifted subtly. Humans weren't feared exactly, but understood differently, as beings who had channeled their predatory focus into exploration, problem-solving, and diplomacy rather than conquest. And in research stations throughout Confederated space, apex predators continued to recognize that ancient kinship in human eyes, the shared evolutionary language of hunters who understood the patient, unrelenting persistence required to bring down prey, or, in humanity's evolved case, to solve the universe's mysteries, one unflinching gaze at a time. "Civilized persistence predators," the AI mused. "How charmingly contradictory and utterly human."